Peace. This is Wise for Wise Words Media, and we just witnessed the return of one of boxing's youngest rising stars and one of Mexico's youngest rising stars. That's Virgil Ortiz Jr. You got to go back to when Oscar De La Hoya was on ESPN and old media was trying to hype up because they fell a victim too to all of Ryan Garcia's antics, and they were asking Oscar De La Hoya in an interview, how do you feel about Ryan Garcia? Is he really the next big thing in boxing? Oscar De La Hoya told ESPN, Ryan Garcia is good, but he's not the next big thing. The next big thing in boxing is Virgil Ortiz. And he threw all of old media off with that one. Like, they didn't even try to follow up with him on those comments. Like, they were there mainly to hype up Ryan, but De La Hoya said, no, this is the guy, Virgil Ortiz. And he said that about a good 4 or 5 years ago. So fast forward, Virgil had some injury problems, and he was unable to fight. I would say about 6 months ago is when he was supposed to be fighting, and with the injury, the fight got pushed back. And some people felt like, oh, he was running away from Michael Mickinson, who is also an undefeated fighter, and from the UK. So some felt that it was a scare tactic, but I knew that this guy, Mickinson, even though I've seen him box before, he's a crafty boxer, not much of a puncher, but pretty slick in the ring, and he knows how to score points. But I knew he wasn't gonna have anything for Virgil Ortiz, because Virgil Ortiz is a seek and destroy type fighter, old school Mexican style. But what I really do appreciate and love about Virgil's fighting style is his high, tight guard. I mean, he has one of the highest, tightest guards. You see him, he'll stalk, and that right hand does not go down. I mean, it's very impressive because, especially when it comes to Mexican fighters, the pedigree is to go toe to toe. But and in that, sometimes the hands go down, get caught with counters. This guy doesn't get caught with counters much because his hand is always high and tight. And he'll wing around the jab hand, but he keeps that right hand high and tight. So, he doesn't get caught with many counter hooks and such. So he's the truth. He's the truth. He finally fought Michael Mickinson, and again, undefeated fighter from the UK, and it was easy work. It was a one-sided fight. At one point, his corner was just telling him, "Oh, there's only about 4 rounds left to go. Yo, just move around, pot shot, survive." But he couldn't even do that because Virgil has that vintage Mexican. It comes from the DNA. It's in the DNA. That vintage Mexican body shot. Boom. And it's so swift and natural the way he's got it. He lands it right there. Boom. As Oscar said, right in the button. Bah. That body shot it's the Mexican go-to punch. All Mexican greats had it, and Virgil Ortiz has it. And that thing was so swift. Mickinson went down, and it was only but a matter of time before he was out of there. So, great performance by Virgil Ortiz. Great comeback, especially after a 1.5 year layoff. What's next for him would be interesting because in attendance was Terrence Crawford. Now, Terrence Crawford is not one of these people that will shy away from any fight. Terrence Crawford is old school. He's the type that will fight anybody, anywhere. So, Crawford was in attendance, and they asked Crawford about his performance. And I agree with Crawford. The only thing was, it was a little too much seek and destroy when it came to Ortiz, because Ortiz was looking for power shots to end it all. he wasn't setting it up much with the jab. So, if he would have used his jab and calculated his offense more, he probably would have got him out of there earlier. But, he did get him out of there eventually. And, the Terence Crawford fight, I didn't like the answer that Ortiz gave. Ortiz was like, Crawford's got a lot going on right now. So, we'll see. Like, it didn't, he said, but yeah, I'm willing to fight him. Like, that's not the type of energy you want to hear. That was, to me, reminiscent of Oscar Valdez. Whenever Valdez was always asked about Shakur Stevenson, he would always give an answer like that. Like, yeah, well, we'll see. We'll have to talk to the team and see what's going on. And then you saw how that manifested when they got into the ring, was that you could see who really wanted the fight, and you could see who was forced into that position. And I don't know if Virgil really wants that fight, because this is like the second time or third time even where after a fight they ask him about Crawford and he kind of like navigates away from that. So one major fight that can happen for Ortiz Jr. that is not the Crawford fight and will be a spectacular fight would be against Boots Ennis from Philly. Jerome Boots Ennis is another up and coming. They've both been on the rise at the same time, so that's a colossal fight that's gonna happen. Hopefully in the near future, hopefully in the next year or so, we get that fight. But that's gonna be a major fight. Those are two up and coming welterweights, and they're both big boys, and that should be a showdown, a colossal matchup between Boots Ennis and Virgil Ortiz. That one is one that fight fans, we're going to be if that one goes down, it's going to be a big treat. But I don't see it happening for at least a couple of years. So, once again, congratulations, Virgil Ortiz Jr. on a sensational performance. And that's all we got for now. This is Wise for Wise Words Media. Peace.